I mean, it's a very big deal. It's the largest, what do they call it, single track
refinery in the world.
In the world. Nigeria is doing something that is number one in the world, but it's come via the private sector initiative.
Yep.
And the governments of Nigeria, let's go back from 1960 right up until now, until a private man stepped in and coordinated and organized. Nigeria has not had this biggest in the world. Nobody can argue with that.
Nobody can argue with it.
How does that grab you? That here we are, 2023, we have something, specifically the Dangote Refinery, that is the largest single one of its type in the world.
Well, just make us know that there's nothing that we cannot achieve as a nation. We didn't have the right policy or the right support. If you look at Dangote Refinery, he had the right support from government right from the day he made up his mind to do it. And then policies were right for him, and he saw the market and he took advantage of the market. And like the dear what Dangote did. I was talking to a journalist and he told me that one time they were having a meeting with Dangote and they were asking questions when he wanted to build the refinery, and they were saying that it's stupid for any man to want to build a refinery worth 9 billion in an economy that is still driven by subsidy, and it's not looking like subsidy will end anytime soon. And he said to them that if there's that foolish man, I am the one that is foolish. But at the end of the day now, we are saying that he was the one that was the wisest among them.
Indeed. What was the figure? 19 billion now?
19 billion. Look, Uncle Yori, two things stand out. When I looked at it, when I was listening to it, two things stand out. We have a Port Harcourt refinery that have not delivered 1 liter of petroleum product. And we borrowed $1.5 billion from World Bank or whatever to make the turnaround maintenance of Port Harcourt refinery, and it will be ready in January, according to the then Minister of Petroleum, Timi Preshiva, today the Bayelsa governorship aspirant of APC. Until he left to become the governor of Bayelsa State, contest to be the governor of Bayelsa State, we've still not seen the turnaround. We've not had 1 liter of fuel. But yet we have somebody that has put in $19 billion to build the largest refinery in the world. So when we say it's not in the business for government to be in business, we know what we are saying. Secondly, again, we must also look at it. The CBN governor was so excited. He said Dangote borrowed from Nigeria. He thought the refinery was going to be like $9 billion. From $9 billion, it went as far as $19 billion. He borrowed from the banks. He borrowed outside and also borrowed within Nigeria. And at the end of the day, he has been able to pay 70% of his debt without production. So what did he do? What he was doing was that those people that were investing, that I'm talking about NNPC, 20% stake in the refineries and other investment, I mean, there will have been other people that have invested also that are stakeholder. He rather pumped those money into servicing those debt. Now, he has not started production. He just have only 30% left to pay. And here we have a country that we keep borrowing and borrowing above our revenue.
Well, in truth, people don't do things like that. That is to say, businessmen don't do things the way the Nigerian government has been doing it. You just spoke of a business decision that was made. Rather than continue willy-nilly, he just had to bring down his liabilities. And the first product from that operation is expected for July.
And he has paid 70% of his debt. So definitely you see why we always say that the private, and this was the same man that would have bought the Kaduna and Port Harcourt refinery through his partnership with Femi Otedola. I think Blue Chip, that was the name of the company they used at that time. And then President Yaradua revoked the decision that was made by President Obasanjo at the time he was leaving. So definitely you see a country that I'm sure if Aliko Dangote has bought over Port Harcourt refinery or Kaduna refinery, I'm very optimistic by now he would have been working to full capacity. And he will not be spending so much money for turnaround maintenance.
Exactly. Well, Whatever be the case, we have it now. It's been done. It seems like to most people in almost record time. It looks like everything followed the plan.
Yes.
They didn't come back and say that, well, we're going to have to extend. We're going to...
Uncle Yori, we need to look at it like this. Dangote had all the support. And
Indeed,
I'm telling you, he
indeed,
had all the support.
indeed.
He had the support from the government. He had the support from the CBN. Remember when Dangote...
And he was careful to note that in his speech.
Yeah. Remember when Dangote started building the refinery? The exchange rate, the naira to the dollar at that time was about 150. Then it moved to 250, it moved to 360, it moved to 465. None for once did the project stop. But what happened? The Nigerian government saw the need of that refinery, especially the CBN, and they decided they were going to give him FX at official price. We mustn't take that away. FX at official price. And that's why we keep saying that if you do it for one, please extend it to others. And so that's why sometimes when you see the manufacturers shouting that, look, can't we get FX so that we can bring in goods that can help a lot of Nigerians? People don't understand why they say because some other people enjoy this benefit.
Indeed.
So we should.
And we're all in the same business.
We're also into the same business of trying to make good livings for Nigeria. But I know why the government did that. They saw the subsidy, the petroleum thing as what has been killing the economy. And I can say it here. We have a foreign reserve of about 40 billion. We've been hovering between 38 to 30, 37, or sometimes went to 34. And Dangote Refinery, annually, it will give us about $14 billion. That is what we have as our own reserve at the moment. One refinery, because of the cost-saving measures that will be implemented and what government is going to benefit directly, $30 billion sure. Then other sources about $10 billion. It is huge.
It is. It's humongous. And let me just say that we're also joined by an old friend of the house, energy expert, Chief Martin Onovo. A fine morning to you.
Good morning.
Hi, Martin. It's been quite a while. Delighted to have you on the program. Chief Martin Onovo, as I said, is an energy expert. Put your perspective on this, because a lot of Nigerians might be feeling the way we feel when Nigeria as a country, goes out and plays an international match and everybody is claiming it and everybody feels happy for it. Is there anything akin to that in this? In other words, what are your feelings about the successful completion and indeed launching of this refinery, 650 barrels per day?
Well, I don't want us to be over-optimistic. It's good to be optimistic because current information is that actual production will start in August or September. So it's not done.
Not the July that was estimated as the date of first sighting of product from that refinery. July was cited in the news.
Well, if you look at the front pages today, you will see August. But and if you look at the history of the project, they've missed many project deadlines. So I think it's better to be conservative.
Okay.
Even though I will prefer to be optimistic. Because do we need the refinery? Definitely yes. Definitely yes. Was it a good idea that he started building a refinery? Yes. Do we have it? We're almost there.
Okay. We're
almost there because the refinery is only useful if we have products. And some of the rumors filtering is that what happened there was mechanical completion. And if that's correct, then after mechanical completion, you need to do your pre-commissioning. After that, you're commissioning before your startup. So I don't want to be overexcited yet until we're sure we can have the products on the street. Is it a good project? Yes.
But
has it been managed excellently with respect to project management capacity? I will say that the fact speaks for itself.
Okay. So, okay, I take the caution that you are, putting into the conversation that, look, it looks good, it sounds good, but when you take another look at it, even as far as it has come, everything hasn't been done, seems to be what I'm hearing from you. The T's haven't been crossed, the I's haven't been dotted. Perhaps as an energy expert, you will know what these mean more than most of the people. But you are saying that they probably were working to a certain date and they wanted it to be launched on that date. But as to whether we are ready to start production, and as we have been reading in the news, Nigeria will now be out of this whole problem of fuel scarcity. We'll be able to supply all our domestic need, even have more to spare for export. You're saying those days are still a little bit in the future?
Oh, yes, because even the official information is that it won't reach peak production until 2024. But the important thing is that even if it reaches 50%, it is a great value addition to the Nigerian economy. And watch my choice of words. I say even if it reaches only 50%. Because 650,000 barrels per day is almost 100 million liters a day.
Indeed.
And more than half of that will be PMS. Between 50 and 55% will be PMS. So even if it's only 25 million we'll get, it's a lot of saving. It's a lot of, it's a significant impact on our GDP. It's a lot of value added against inflation, domestic value added against inflation. And petroleum products are energy products. Therefore, petroleum products supply amounts to energy supply, and energy is critical to economic development. And that's why I'm saying it's a good project. Has it been managed excellently from a project management perspective? I won't say so, because it has had a schedule slip of nearly 100%. But the important thing is that it is here.
Yes.
And now that it is here, whatever we need to do, recommissioning, commissioning, startup, operations, we need to get that done efficiently, because the country critically needs this refinery. Critically. We also critically need our own refineries. The four existing refineries, public refineries, we also critically need them.
Let me ask you this. As an energy expert, much was made of the fact that not just that it can meet 100% of Nigeria's needs, but when it comes to the technology, because I think this is important, when it comes to the technology, it is very, very cutting edge, state of the art. It is said that it complies with the World Bank, US EPA, European emission norms, and Department of Petroleum, Resources Emissions effluent norms. So is this, is that exciting to an expert like you that it
must be.
It's excellent all around. I can tell
you that
it wants to play on the world stage.
It must be exciting to all of us, because we depend on the environment, and we need to understand this from the basics. We drink water. The water is from the environment. We eat food. It is from the environment. We breathe air. It's from the environment. We must protect the environment. And I can tell you with full authority that the Nigerian government and agencies have documented environmental standards that I am sure they have complied with. All the environmental problems you see in Nigeria are due to lack of enforcement, lack of monitoring. It's not because the standards are not there. The upstream commission has their IGASPIN, environmental guidelines. So the standards are there. We need to enforce them to protect the environment, because in that way we protect ourselves and our health.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't be preaching to anybody to protect the environment. Everybody should individually commit to protecting the environment, because you yourself depend on the environment, whether you are an engineer or journalist or doctor. The environment sustains you. So we must necessarily, we don't have to wait for government. We must, even as individuals, commit ourselves to environmental protection. And I'm sure that if the regulators did their work, they wouldn't give him permit to progress without satisfying all the environmental requirements.
Indeed. Okay, one moment, please. Coming back to studio here, Mukhtar, the reports are also indicating not everybody knew that originally, so it is said, Dangote wanted to start this project in Rivers State. But as things happen, they happen. It didn't work out, even though some people in Rivers were not happy about it. But long story short, as a result of negotiations breaking down, I believe that's the sort of way businesses talk about these things, the thing moved to Lagos. How important is that?
Well, that's a big loss to Rivers State. But again, as you're looking at Rivers State alone, but when you look at the economy as a whole, that's a big loss also. Because now we're looking at cost of doing business, we're looking at cost of bringing down refined petroleum products. And I think the people that would have benefited most from that would have been the people from Rivers State, because that means the cost of crude oil is already there, so it just moved to, I think that's why Dangote wanted to site it in Rivers State. I think it's a big loss to them. We're talking about 137,000 direct jobs and millions of other indirect jobs. So you could see what that can do to an economy like that. But for Lagos State, I think it's an advantage that comes with responsibility. Because I saw Mr. Governor so excited about it, and I said, when they come prosperity, they come responsibility. And that responsibility, I hope they'll be able to meet up with it, because we are looking at we don't want what happened at Apapa to begin to happen on the exits. So we don't want what happened in River to begin to happen to those communities in that exit, because I got it from good authority that most of the community in that area do not have light, do not have power. And if I remember,
but we're talking about Ibeju-Lekki in Lagos, yes, where this project.
Yeah. So if you look at Abajana cement factory, where Dangote cement is located, they have independent power supply that has been supplied by Dangote cement. So I think the governor should begin to look at that. We don't want a situation whereby the hen that lays the golden egg is not being taken care of. So then we also look at the road networks again. I know they are doing a lot of construction on the Fort Mainland Bridge from there up to that Ekpe axis. Let's continue to look at those construction. Let's see how we can decongest those places so that it doesn't become another Apapa on the other exit of Lagos. And then again, we need to look at touting. It has come with a lot of advantage. Then the government also look at touting and security.
Did you say touting because we're also mentioning Lagos?
No, I mean, when I mean touting, I don't mean to the negative. Again, let me add there. Okay, maybe in terms of levies, fee. Because, let me use that word. Yeah, because most of the people that are there are not there on their own. They are there at one representative of one area. Maybe Lagos State, local government, revenue, this and that and that. So we should look at that, because we are looking at cost of doing business here, so that we can see all these things come down, and then Nigeria will be able to enjoy supply of this product at a good price. Like he said, for me, project management has to come with the challenges that they have to come. So that's why it's called project management. If you remember, like I said, a project that started with an exchange rate of about $150 to $170 per barrel. I mean, one exchange rate of $170 to $170. Then it's now being concluded at an exchange rate of $465. That's official rate, because they made us know that he gets this in officially. Then you could know that definitely with such challenges, you don't expect that project to finish at the rocket time it's expected to finish, because you are not depending on some other people to supply you these effects. And so definitely, I think for me, it's still, like he said, it's still call for celebration that at last we could be refining our product here. And then like Lagos State, like I said, is a huge opportunity for Lagos State, especially knowing that a lot of population, Nigerians, stays in Lagos. It will be a huge, but I want the government to make sure that lessons are learned from what is happening in Apapa, not to happen in that exit. And I think they are learning fast, because they are trying to do a second road. Because if you look at it, if you are not learning fast, there's only one exit into Lekki Ekpe, and there's only one exit out. And you remember, you not talk, even we have been experiencing traffic in those exits now. Then if you add the tractors, I mean the trailers to them, I mean, it's going to be very, very challenging. So hopefully, I think as Mr. Governor is so excited about it, he should get his team to sit down and begin to see the challenges that comes with those opportunities. Okay. And let's start solving them now.
Okay. Martin, I'm going to come to you, but let me pick up this call that has just come in from George in Lagos. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to your guest.
Yes.
Uncle Yori, I want to say congratulations to all of us. What happened yesterday is a landmark achievement that even the developed countries never thought a third world country like ours can achieve it. So it makes some of us proud as Nigerians. I want to thank Alhaji Dangote for his efforts. What he has done is a pace-setting project which we expect other Nigerians to emulate. I would like the government to also take advantage of this opportunity. I don't believe that a country that is number 6 producer of crude in the world would be living and buying fuel at the same rate with a country that has never seen fuel in their land. If my memory serves me right, 300,000 barrels were earmarked for local consumption before we export. That 300,000 barrels that the government has earmarked for local consumption, the government should negotiate it with Dangote to produce it at a lesser cost, so that we don't end up buying fuel at a rate higher than we are buying now. That would be that people will not see the economic gain in it. At least it should be less than what we are already buying right now.
Okay. All right, Mr. George, thank you very much for calling in. It's a very practical notion/question, and let me take it over to Martin Onovo, who's the energy expert here. How doable? Because a lot of Nigerians will say, aha, at long last, we're not importing anything. Now we shouldn't be paying humongous prices per liter for our premium, for our fuel. How doable is that?
Well, once it starts production, according to some of the reports, peak production will be attained in 2024. If peak production is attained, like I said, that will be about 50 million liters of PMS alone. So that by most estimates, is sufficient or near sufficient for domestic use. And do not forget that we have $2.7 billion worth of projects going on in the public existing refineries as turnaround maintenance. If those ones too are successful, then you have a situation where we now start exporting petroleum products, not just raw crude oil. That's value added. That is increase the economy, increase the revenue for the economy, sorry. That's increased revenue for the economy. So the project is a very good project, but I don't want to tell anybody that it is complete.
Okay.
Mechanical completion is not production.
You said so from the beginning. The other question I'd like to ask you, Chief Onovo, is I wanted your comment on the fact that there's also a power generating plant to this, 435 megawatts, no less. And it's reported that this is able to take care of the entire power requirements of the Ibadan Disco, for instance. But keep your gunpowder dry, Chief. Let me take a quick break so that I come back and I won't interrupt you when you come onto this. Stay with us, please.
Solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
Now that Nigeria's next president has been decided at the poll on February 25, attention is shifted to May 29 Inauguration Day, the commencement of a new 4-year tenure of Nigeria's 16th president since 1960, when the country gained independence. It's going to be the 7th inauguration ceremony since the beginning of the Fourth Republic in 1999. And President-elect Bola Tinubu and Vice President-elect Kashim Shettima will take the oath of office. Join me, Nifemi Ogutoye, every weekday on TVC News for the countdown to the historic May 29 Inauguration Day, as we bring you all updates, political intrigues, and in-depth analysis of people and events that you need to know. The countdown to May 29 Inauguration Day, live at 6 p.m. every weekday, only on TVC News.
Hey, welcome back. We're looking at the inauguration of the largest refinery, well, what they call single train refinery in the world. It's in Nigeria, the beloved country, right here. Of course, there are other aspects to it, as we've heard. Our guests, including Chief Martin Onovo, energy expert, has said that, well, yeah, but not yet Uhuru. There's still much work to be done. And my guest in studio, Mukhtar Mohammed, in fact, he was just telling me that never mind 435 megawatts of power plant that I was speaking about, that according to the governor of Central Bank, it's 12,000 megawatts more than we are currently producing. And I was saying that this is going to take care of the total requirements of the Ibadan Disco, which, as you know, well, that one covers so many states around it. But Reverend Dominic, you're on the line. Okay, let me quickly get your contribution / question / comment out of the way. Good morning to you, Reverend.
Good morning, Chief Yori. Good morning to Mohammed. Good morning to Hi Chief Onovo, my friend and my brother.
Okay. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, everybody heard you.
Okay. Yori, I am glad for Dangote Nigeria Limited. When we say it's our refinery, it's not our refinery, it's Dangote Refinery. And somebody, judge is saying that he's going to get crude in a way that he will not pay in international market. No, because it's a capital business, and Dangote is a capitalist. I use the word capitalist not in a negative way, in a positive way. I mean, he's a businessman. He's going to source this crude in the international market, which is OPEC, the price. So what makes sense to me more yesterday is that this refinery, even though high chiefs say have not been completed, but to me have completed as a layman in a record time. What happened to me yesterday, I said this refinery is an indictment to all of us, not to point finger to any man. It's all of us. If Nigeria is building this capacity, the biggest in the world, Yori, we couldn't have finished this refinery 50 years coming. E.g. is Ajakuta steel. If Ajakuta had been finished for a long time ago, the 50 or 60% of steel in this big edifice would have come from Ajakuta. You know what it means? Money for Nigeria and job for Nigerians. So for over 50 years now, we have been Ajakuta steel. Yori, Lagos Ibadan Express, I don't know how big it is. I'm putting your station now. The documentary I watched in your station yesterday said that the complete work in that refinery is almost half of Lagos. Yori, since over 30 years, we'll be building a Lagos Ibadan Expressway. It's supposed to be indictment to all of us. Another person I didn't like his face there was the governor of Central Bank, who said he visited there several times. Why not visit his own refinery? He's very worried in commodities. He's very Kaduna is commodities. He didn't visit it. He visited a business refinery. Whether you like it or not, the man will maximize his profit. He wants to finish the record time and pay his bill. But if it's Nigeria, the times of your governor of Central Bank will frustrate it. We keep revealing that contract every year. From $200 to $500, share to most of them, honestly. Look at what this gentleman had done. Biggest in the whole world. When I saw the documentary of filling that sand alone, Nigeria will cover that land. Nigeria labor and culture will cover that land for 40 years before we start the foundation. Look at what that man has done. It's possible to build Nigeria. It's possible for our refineries to work. It's only Nigeria. As Mukhtar is an expert, as High Chief Onovo is an expert, it's only Nigeria that belongs to this category that has no refinery. It's only Nigeria. I'm not to quote wrong. But here we are celebrating a young man's effort to build the biggest refinery all over the world. And people are dancing. They're supposed to hide their head in shame.
All right, well, Reverend, I understand you, Reverend Dominic. Thank you very much. Okay. Well, Martin, coming back to you now, this whole matter about, well, one figure that was quoted was 435. That was said to be abysmally low in the sense that 12,000 megawatts is more like the accurate figure. We're talking about power generation now. You speak a bit about that. So it looks like there is nothing but good everywhere you look on this whole project.
Well, you won't know until you see the electrical design calculations and you see the installed capacity. You won't know exactly. Since I am not a part of the technical team, I can't give you exact design information. But that is simply designed from their, or estimated from their electrical load calculations. That's how it's done. I'm sure that it is sized to power the refinery with enough sparing capacity to keep it running continuously without interruption. And that is the standard in the oil industry. We run 24 hours, we run non-stop. And our power doesn't fail because we have spare capacity. And I'm talking about oil and gas facilities in country, not just the ones abroad. So it's the regular standard, it's routine, even though it will sound strange to a Nigerian, because we have got so used to poor performance. But that is the standard, and I wouldn't expect anything less, because anything less will be very expensive for them. So it will run, they will have power to run it, and it will keep running.
Okay, maybe just before I come back to studio, because this will require energy expertise. There's this question, this issue where Dangote was reported to have said that he's eyeing a number of sources for crude to feed into the refinery. Some Nigerians are saying that, what's that all about? You are in Nigeria here, the middle of all the crude that you can need, but I was reading something about it being able to handle different grades of crude. Why, to answer the question for the layman, would they be looking in Dangote for alternative sources of crude?
Well, he will be right to look for alternative sources. If I were advising him, I will agree with him that he should look for alternative sources. In this country, there was a time our production fell below 800,000 barrels per day. And considering the joint venture production and the production sharing contracts, all the oil doesn't belong to Nigeria. I hope we understand that. The joint venture partners have their share of the oil.
Okay.
We have our share. The production sharing contractors have their share of oil. We have our share. So if you consider, as at that time, that the production in the whole country fell to 800,000, if he needs 650,000, we may not be able to provide it to him. So if he's looking for alternative sources, I do not see anything wrong with that. But his cheapest source will be the NMPC. In other words, our crude. That will be his cheapest source. But if it's inadequate, and for a business, he needs the cheapest source. So some of these things are not whimsical. The economics compels you.
Okay.
So the cheapest source will be our Nigerian crude.
Okay.
But if it's insufficient...
But apart from the quantity, Nigeria crude is said to be among the high-grade crudes. We've heard of Bonny Light and all of that. But some of them, when I was talking about a large variety of crudes, it includes many African crudes. It might not necessarily be the sweetest, so to speak, crudes. But apparently that whole setup there can be fine-tuned, can be tuned to depending on what is being fed in. Since there will be quality control, it must be consistent, what comes out the other end. But you've sort of explained it, but I was a bit concerned that, we have high-quality crude, maybe not all over, but we do have high-quality crude, and there are other crudes that are maybe heavier and will require more work, but that facility, we hear, is designed to take care of anything, any kind of crude, whether the African crude or...
Yori?
Please go ahead, Chief.
I'm impressed with your knowledge of heavy and light crude.
Oh dear.
Isn't
that commonplace? That's current affairs normal. You don't have to be an energy expert.
You're right about it. I can tell you everybody may not be right about it. That there are two principal criteria for grading crude. The first is what we call API gravity. In general, the lighter the better. Why is it the lighter the better? The lighter yields more PMS, which is the heaviest product in demand. Now, there is a second serious consideration, sulfur content. If crude has sulfur, then you have to have additional facilities, specifically sulfur treatment plants. So, and Nigerian crude does not have sulfur. So that is why you say Nigerian crude is very high quality crude, and you're right.
I see. Okay, so that's another feather in the refinery's cap, that whatever you bring there, it has the facility with which to do it without the engine, quote unquote, knocking, as if you bring the analogy down to a car. Okay, but Mukhtar, there are other aspects. They say 40,000 housing units are going to be available in a temporary, temporarily for all the workers there. Well, we know how these temporary things go. Later on, they'll become permanent. Look at the whole Festac village and all of that kind of a thing. Is that kind of a thing? Just like I was saying, any corner any way you look, it's nothing but good.
Yeah, it's nothing but good. And again, that is the one, you're talking about the 40,000 unit that will be temporary by Dangote Refinery itself.
That's right.
We're not even talking about the private sector
owners. No.
Already in that area, exit if you're in Lagos. Even a lot of estate have, a lot of development have come up in those areas in terms of housing. So
okay.
definitely.
I beg your pardon for interrupting you. You come back to it. Please hold your place. Idowu in Alagbado has been waiting for a long while. Good morning to you, sir. Apologies for keeping you waiting.
Okay. Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
And good morning to our beautiful analyst.
Thank you, sir.
Please go ahead.
Uncle Yori.
Yes.
I was watching a video online this morning.
Okay.
I want to give kudos to Lagos State government for a very good job done over this, refinery. Because during the time of Fashola, I could remember when he went to Lekki, and he had interactive session with all the community leaders and the people. And they were, in the discussion, they were like, please, do you know people really want this refinery to come here or not? And the community were like, yes, we want it. And he made mention of something that, see, if you know this refinery should come here, make sure you protect it and make sure you don't disrupt these people. Because considering the revenue this refinery will be bringing to Lagos State alone, you see, we need a visionary leader. Today, people are not celebrating Fashola for bringing this, for cooperating with Dangote to this refinery to Lekki or to Lagos State or for Nigeria. So kudos to the Lagos State government, kudos to Dangote. I don't want to know about anything, maybe the generation, what Dangote will be generating, but I'm so happy that Nigeria will have some visionary leaders that cares about the people and they give support to private-public partnership. So kudos to Ashiwaju, kudos to his team, kudos to his men. One Nigeria. Thank you, good morning, sir.
Indeed, thank you very much. So I interrupted you as
you were speaking. We're looking at the private sector. We're not looking at the private sector on, and if you look at that also,
this is all just in the Dangote
refinery. So it's huge. Will that be able to meet our housing deficit? I don't think so. Would that help in reducing it? Fine. Would that help in manpower, especially hours that will be lost in traffic if you are staying close to your side of production? I think that's all the things that Dangote is looking at. And in all Dangote production, if you look at his cement, a photo of his cement, that's what he does. He always have his staffs, he always have his people close to side of production and have all housing unit for them to stay. So it's not something new. That's what he does. And then he extends it to the community too. So that's why I'm also looking forward to see those extensions to some of those communities closer to this area. And when we are talking about, we shouldn't forget the environmental impact on the community too, because these communities also had their own environmental challenges that they will face with Dangote Refinery coming there.
Okay, indeed. So, Chief, let me bring that to you. This whole matter about, well, two things, and both of them are sort of like security. One, security of the environment. The other one is security of the assets. Because the point has been made by, I think it was Zido who called in that back in the day at the, the ground turning stages when Fashola was involved, he was counseling that you got to own this project, you got to protect it and all of that. So that just brought to mind that that's true. It is a refinery complex. What are your thoughts in that area? Is it part of the project management that the security would have been down pat by this time?
Well, the project will come to an end as a project after startup. When you go to operations, the new operations team will have to look at the history of community relations management and see how they can improve it moving forward. So when you are in a community, it's necessary that you relate with them, you communicate, you understand their needs, you understand their rules and requirements, and you try to comply. That's very simple. The community relations unit will be able to reach out to the community, understand what they want and what they do not want. And between the two teams, the company and the community, they will agree and they will have to work together. And the community will own it. They will own it when they see the benefits. And government as a third party also has a role to play, especially when a critical organization like that and communities cannot agree. Government can come in and intervene. So that's and become like a mediator. So these things can be easily worked out. It's not difficult.
It's not exactly rocket science. But so in the short to medium term, Nigeria should no more hear about fuel shortage. Is that true?
Exactly my initial sentiment. You know, everybody is now excited that they have 650,000 barrels refining. And I'm saying you don't have it yet until you have it. From my own insight, as a professional who has done this kind of projects many times, what they have done is mechanical completion. And I'm saying after that you do your pre-commissioning, after that you do your commissioning, after that you do your startup, and then you start operations. And so, the estimates we have now are August, September.
Oh dear.
So if anyone is getting excited in May or in June, he may be disappointed in July. So let's all focus on getting everything in place, getting everything efficiently done, so that the benefits can come in, because the benefits are not coming in tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Mazi Okoroafo, good morning to you, sir.